Good morning. I have wonderful news for you. I went to the doctor yesterday and he said my heart is beating much better. So my irregular heartbeat seems to be gone due to medication, reduction in stress, and walking. I walked up there as a matter of fact, and I've been trying to walk every day. Oh, I thoroughly believe in walking. It is magic. If you can possibly exercise, that is what's going to keep you from falling apart. And so I naturally thought about, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I think I have to make good decisions about what I do. Well, for one thing, I have to consider that my biggest asset is my brain. I happen to be born with the king side of the family's analyzing gene. So even as a little girl, if I had a very bad problem to solve, this little analyzing gene kicked in and I would just think and think and think and how to solve it, or otherwise I'd never survived, because I had to think about big problems, as you have noticed from my menus, I'm sure, my videos. So when I was the oldest too, and I figured that I would have to solve the problems in the family, generally speaking, because my mother was incapacitated with her extreme hatred of my father's drinking gene. Oh, she had been born into a family that did not drink. They were Mormons, and they, well, unbelievably, they could have a great big family reunion, there wouldn't be one of them drinking. On the other side, my father's family, they didn't even hardly get to the drunk. Every time they had a holiday, they were drunk. And so my mother tried to escape her unhappy home all she could, and this left me pretty much in charge. And as soon as the child next to me, my sister Margie, was barely old enough, she was put in my care, and I had to be her little mother, because mother just did not, she was not happy in that family. And I naturally began to get the reputation of the one to send to talk to Dad. Of course, I wouldn't go unless I had thought and thought and thought, and then I would confront him, tell him what I thought, because when you told Dad what you thought, there would be a shouting match, because Dad would object, and you'd argue and argue. I've seen Dad argue all night long, 3 nights in a row, when he got a problem on his brain, and he was bound, bent, determined he was going to solve it along with my mother. And she better listen. You know, everybody in the whole house was listening. They couldn't sleep, sitting on the stair waiting for him, maybe break into a big fight, and we'd have to run down there, try to save Mother. And so, you know, what you inherit can sometimes be daunting. But I didn't inherit good legs like my sisters did. Most of them had those little tiny king legs that were so beautiful. And what did I inherit? My grandfather on my mother's side had huge bones, and my ankle bones were like, oh, I could not believe when I became aware how important ankles were in high school that I didn't have good ankles. Up to then I really didn't notice. Because I was a fast runner, I thought they were good for running fast and very strong. And so I said, what am I going to do? Go through life with legs like this? Because naturally the boys noticed. Oh, I remember one football player. He was very popular, and he came in and said, "You're built like a lady wrestler." A wrestler? A wrestler? Oh, how could I? Oh, I'll show him. And then I became aware that I not only inherited legs, but I'd inherited a fat nose. Again, I hadn't noticed it. But boy, did I ever notice it in high school. That is where you come to the knowledge of all your bad points. And I just could not, it just wouldn't, oh, my younger sister, she'd inherited the long, sharp nose of my grandmother King. And I guess I got Grandpa King's fat nose. And, oh, she hated her long nose. Because people naturally said she looked like a witch. Oh. So I knew that we were going to have trouble. But as high school proceeded on, I discovered that I had inherited a little waist, along with ample hips and thigh bones, and pretty good breath. So things weren't too bad. They weren't all that terrible, because this sort of created somewhat of a sex pot figure that I thought, well, I'll see what I can do with this, since I remember staying at my great-grandmother's house, and she said to me, "You have got the biggest ankles of anybody I've ever seen." Oh, talk about how to. Oh, I was just mortified. I just didn't even know whether I could go forth the next day on those ankles. But, I mean, my own great-grandmother telling me this. Oh, well, but anyway, I survived them because I did find out they were good and strong. Other girls' legs, if they got in a real bad bind, and they might get thrown off their horses, and their little legs would just snap. But mine, they'd never break. They were solid, great, strong bones, what I told myself. And then, of course, I had the analyzing gene, but I found out when I went to college that only guys with genius IQs appreciated my brain. The other guys, the popular guys, the football players, the big men on campus, they were just very apt to not even realize what a brilliant person I was. I naturally got top grades, read a book a day if I could. I was just standard, IQ, high IQ, that type of girl. And of course I'd read so much by then, I was very nearsighted, so I had big glasses. Oh my, I recall a guy wanted to date me, and he told me the reason why he had a 200 IQ. I said, that's impossible. I've never heard of a 200 IQ. And he said, well, it was the highest ever recorded in Ohio. But, oh, this poor guy, you talk about, he had inherited a big shambling physique, and, well, he just looked like a nerd from top to bottom, and but I felt sorry for him, so I would talk to him. And one day he asked me to go downtown. I went downtown, and he took me down by the railroad tracks and started talking weird, and I thought, Oh, well, he might be a genius, but he's not a guy to go on a date with. So I said, well, listen, I need to go home. So I went home. And after that, I just talked to him on the phone. I said, this guy, he may be a genius, but I think that his looks have somehow caused a neurotic desire to maybe kill somebody. Oh. But I did talk to him a lot because I was trying to keep him from becoming, a very dangerous person with the brains he had and the looks combined was just, a bad combination. Now, I hardly ever met a very, very handsome genius, but I did meet enough geniuses that I knew they existed, and they just loved me. For the first time in my life, my brain was truly appreciated, and all the books I had read approved of, and we'd actually have intelligent, brilliant, scintillating conversations for hours. Other people didn't value that kind of thing like we did, but we'd get together and talk about books, and I loved it. I was just in seventh heaven finally meeting these geniuses I'd heard so much about, read about, and finally met up with. But oh dear, there was a sad sort of ending to all that I can't go into today, maybe another day. But in the meantime, well, let's hope that I can find a companion. Well, I wouldn't call him a companion. A video making